The Mura Kingdom was a land of unparalleled beauty, nestled between green valleys and towering mountains. At its heart lay the Enora River, a ribbon of life that wound its way through the land, sustaining all who lived nearby. The river's crystal-clear waters reflected the blue skies above and carried stories from its depths, stories of life, harmony, and magic. But the Enora River held secrets that many did not fully understand. Beneath its gentle surface lived the Naira people, beings half human and half fish. Their upper halves were like humans, but their lower halves shimmered with scales of vibrant hues, from emerald green to deep sapphire. The Naira had called the Enora River home for generations, living in harmony with the waters and its creatures.
The people of Mura respected the river and its mysterious inhabitants. The village elders told tales of how the Naira protected the river, keeping its waters clean and its fish abundant. In return, the villagers lived by a simple code: respect the river, and it will sustain you.
Every morning, the riverbanks were alive with activity. Fishermen cast their nets, careful to avoid the sacred areas where the Naira children played. Children from the village watched in awe as the mermaid children swam gracefully, their laughter mingling with the sound of the flowing river. "The river connects us all," the village elder often said. "Its spirit is shared by both Naira and humans. We must honor this bond." For decades, this unspoken understanding fostered peace. The humans and the Naira shared the river's bounty, each thriving in their own way. Yet the harmony was fragile, dependent on mutual respect and trust. It was a balance that could be shattered by a single careless act.
The first rays of dawn stretched across the sky as Taro, one of Mura's most skilled fishermen, prepared his boat. Taro had always been proud of his craft. He was known for bringing in the largest catches, and often ventured farther into the river than others dared.
That morning, as he pushed his boat into the water, the river seemed quieter than usual. A light mist hung over the surface, muffling the usual sounds of birds and insects. Taro, determined to make a good haul, rowed deeper into the river, ignoring the faint warnings of the other fishermen.
"Be careful, Taro," one called. "That part of the river is where the Naira children play." Taro waved off the warning. "The river belongs to all of us. I'll be quick." As he cast his net into the water, it spread wide, sinking gracefully below the surface. But within moments, chaos erupted. A mermaid child, no older than 8 or 9 in human years, had become tangled in the net. Her small form thrashed desperately, her cries piercing the morning air. "Release her!" shouted a Naira elder who emerged from the water, his voice filled with urgency and anger. Taro froze, panic overtaking him. "I didn't mean to," he stammered, but his hands clung to the net, unwilling to lose his catch.
The Naira elder and others swam to free the child, their faces contorted with fear and rage. In the struggle, Taro lost his balance and tumbled into the water. The currents dragged him under, and though the Naira tried to save their child, they could not stop the tragedy that unfolded.
By the time Taro's lifeless body was found downstream, the river was heavy with sorrow. The news spread quickly, casting a shadow over the once peaceful relationship between the villagers and the Naira. When news of Taro's death reached King Rovan, the ruler of the Mura kingdom, he was deeply troubled. He summoned his advisors to discuss the growing tension between the humans and the Naira.
"The river is our lifeline," the king said, pacing in the grand hall. "But this incident has sown fear among our people. We cannot allow such tragedies to continue."
The council was divided. Some argued for peace, urging the king to find a way to mend the rift. Others, driven by fear and grief, demanded action. "Your Majesty," the village elder said solemnly, "the Naira have become a threat. We must protect our people." That evening, King Rovan addressed the kingdom from the palace steps. His voice carried over the crowd, heavy with the weight of his decision. "From this day forward, no human shall interact with the Naira people," he proclaimed. "They are banished from the surface of the Enora River. Any who defy this decree will face the full weight of the law." The Nair, hearing of the king's decree, retreated to the depths of the river. Led by their king Lyric, they built a new kingdom in the dark waters, far from the humans who had once been their neighbors. The Nair mourned the loss of their connection to the surface world, their songs turning from joyful melodies to haunting laments. King Lyric vowed to protect his people at all costs. "We will live in the shadows," he declared, "but we will never forget who we are."
Years passed, and the underwater kingdom of the Nair became a realm of quiet resilience. Yet, for Naya, the youngest daughter of King Lyric, the depths of the river felt like a prison. "Mother," Naya asked one evening as they swam through the glowing coral gardens, "what is sunlight?" Arya, the queen of the Naira, paused, her face softening. "Sunlight is warmth and light," she said. "It dances on the surface of the water and makes everything bright, but it is not for us, Naya." "Why not?" Naya pressed. "Why can't we go to the surface?" "'Cause it is dangerous," Arya replied. "Humans are not like us. They fear what they do not understand." But Naya's curiosity could not be contained. Late at night, she would sneak away from the palace, swimming close to the surface. There, she would watch the moonlight ripple across the water, her heart aching to see more. One night, as she gazed at the stars, Naya whispered to herself, "If only I could see the world above, even for a moment." Prince Kaelin, the heir to the Mura kingdom, was a restless soul. Though he was groomed to be king, he often felt trapped by his responsibilities. His father, King Rovan, had high expectations for him, leaving little room for Kaelin to explore his own dreams. One evening, seeking solace, Kaelin wandered to the riverbank. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the water. As he sat by the edge, lost in thought, he noticed a faint ripple in the river. A head emerged, followed by shimmering shoulders. Kaelin stared, captivated, as a young Naira girl rose from the water. "Please," she said softly, her voice trembling, "don't call for your guards." Kaelin shook his head. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice filled with wonder. "My name is Naya," she replied. "And you?" "I'm Kaelin." Their conversation stretched into the night. Naya told him about her life in the underwater kingdom, and Kaelin shared his frustrations about the weight of the crown. They discovered a shared longing for freedom and understanding. As dawn approached, Naya hesitated. "I must go," she said, "but will you come back tomorrow?" Kaelin nodded, his heart pounding. "I'll be here." Night after night, Naya and Kaelin met under the cover of darkness, their hearts beating in unison, despite the vast differences between their worlds. They would sit by the water's edge, their conversations ranging from the light-hearted tales of their childhood to the deeper dreams and fears they carried. Kaelin would often bring trinkets from the human world, a polished stone, a tiny mirror, or a delicate flower. Their bond grew stronger with each meeting, yet as the days passed, Naya's heart grew heavy with a secret. "Kaelin," she whispered one night, her voice trembling, "my father, he has promised me." "To another." Kaelin's chest tightened. "To whom?" "Miran, the son of my father's advisor," Naya replied. "He is kind, but I cannot love him. My heart belongs to you." Kaelin took her hands in his gaze fierce. "Then run away with me, Naya. We can leave this place, find a land where no one knows us." Tears shimmered in Naya's eyes. "It's not so simple. I cannot abandon my family or my people, and yet I cannot imagine a life without you." Their love, forbidden and fragile, hung in the balance. Each moment they shared felt both eternal and fleeting, a stolen gift they feared would soon be taken away. Weeks turned into months, and Naya began to notice changes within herself. Her energy waned, and she felt a strange warmth within her, a presence she could not ignore. It wasn't long before she realized the truth. She was carrying Kaelin's child. Overwhelmed, she swam to her mother's chambers late one night. "Mother," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I need to tell you something." Lyra, sensing the urgency, sat beside her daughter. "What is it, Naya?" Naya hesitated, then spoke the words that had weighed on her heart. I am with child, Kaylin's child. Lyra's eyes widened in shock. What have you done? She whispered, her voice filled with both fear and sorrow. I love him, Mother, Naya pleaded. Our love is true, and this child is a symbol of that love. Lyra shook her head, her face pale. You don't understand the danger, Naya. If your father or the humans discover this, it could destroy everything. You have placed not only yourself, but our entire kingdom at risk. But Naya, though fearful, stood firm. This child is innocent, Mother. It is a bridge between our worlds. Perhaps it can bring peace. Lyra's heart ached for her daughter, torn between protecting her and the heavy consequences of her actions. We must keep this a secret, Naya, she said. For now, tell no one, not even Kaylin. One fateful morning, unable to bear the weight of her secret any longer, Naya decided to see Kaylin. Though she knew the risks, her heart longed for the comfort of his presence. As the first rays of sunlight broke over the horizon, Naya surfaced near the riverbank. But her appearance did not go unnoticed. Villagers working nearby spotted her and cried out, their voices filled with fear and anger. It's one of them, shouted a man brandishing a stick. She's come to harm us, another yelled, gathering a crowd. Before Naya could retreat, she was surrounded. The villagers, still harboring resentment over past events, lashed out in their anger. Sticks and stones struck her fragile form as she pleaded for mercy. Please, she begged, her voice breaking. I mean no harm. But her cries were drowned out by the fury of the crowd. Kaylin, hearing the commotion, raced to the riverbank. His heart stopped at the sight before him. Stop, he shouted, pushing through the mob. Leave her alone. He reached Naya's side, shielding her with his body. She is not your enemy, he cried. She has done nothing to deserve this. But it was too late. Naya's injuries were severe, her strength fading fast. She looked up at Kaylin, her eyes filled with love and sorrow. I'm sorry, she whispered. I wanted to tell you about our child. Kaylin's heart shattered. Nia, no, stay with me, please. As her life slipped away, the river seemed to mourn with him, its waters turning dark and restless. Kaylin carried Naya's lifeless body to the palace, his face etched with grief. The news of her death spread like wildfire, reaching both the humans and the Naira. King Lyric, upon hearing of his daughter's fate, was consumed by rage. They have taken my child, he roared. We will make them pay. Under his command, the Naira army rose from the depths, their shimmering forms cutting through the water like blades. Armed with tridents and magic, they prepared to storm the surface. The villagers, terrified of the impending attack, turned to King Rovan for guidance. We must defend ourselves, the king declared. Prepare for battle. As the two forces clashed, the once peaceful river became a battleground. The cries of the wounded echoed across the water, the air heavy with sorrow and anger. Amid the chaos, Lyra swam to the surface, her heart heavy with grief. She saw the destruction and knew it could not continue. Stop! She cried, her voice ringing out like a bell. Stop this madness! Both sides paused, their weapons lowered as they turned to her. This violence will not bring Naya back, Lyra said, her voice trembling. She loved Kaylin, and she believed in a world where our people could live in harmony. Do not let her sacrifice be in vain. Kaylin, standing on the riverbank, stepped forward. I loved her, he said, his voice breaking, and I will dedicate my life to ensuring her dream of peace becomes a reality. Moved by their words, King Lyric and King Rovan reluctantly agreed to a truce. They signed a treaty, vowing to respect each other's boundaries and work toward understanding. Though the scars of the past lingered, the treaty marked a new beginning. The Naira were allowed to surface once more, their songs filling the air as they worked alongside the villagers to heal the river and their hearts. Kaylin, now king, ruled with wisdom and compassion, guided by the memory of Naya's love. He established schools and councils where humans and Naira could learn about each other's cultures, fostering a sense of unity. In the heart of the Mora kingdom, a monument was erected by the river, a statue of Naya and Kaylin, their hands intertwined, symbolizing the bridge between their worlds. And though Naya was gone, her spirit lived on, in the waters of the Enora River, a reminder that love has the power to heal even the deepest wounds.